All right, let's get into Friday feedback, even though it's not Friday because it's a shortened week. And so it's an opportunity to react and respond to what is on some of people's minds. Of course, you can always email info@davidpakman.com. And we start with Lee. Lee is very much unhappy with me and wrote in from the UK to tell me so. Lee says, in an email titled Clowns Fake News, Lee says, David Pakman, your opinion is not fit for purpose, and you should not been on TV. From UK resident with a brain and a nose for bull S. Now, in the future, we'll be able to say the full word when we're not on radio and TV. You know, it's a tragic, tragic thing to me that even people in other countries say, you know what I'm going to do with my day? I'm going to write to that guy in the United States who talks about politics. I've said before, I used to sometimes get mad and reactive when people would write me this stuff. And then I would really think about what must be going on in their lives that they choose to do this. And then I get sad and I end up just kind of feeling bad for these folks. That's where I land. Same thing would apply to Cleve. Cleve wrote to me about the topic lefty and says, David Parkman is such a smug, arrogant, condescending dolt. He can't even define what a woman is. Pathetic leftist. You know, they think it's a real gotcha to say, define a woman. Oh, you can't do it. Now, if Cleve knew anything about me, he'd know I've talked about what we mean by woman and how it's affected by context. It is a different thing to say who is a woman in a medical setting versus who is a woman socially versus what about if someone is trying to bring a claim of gender discrimination. These are all different questions. Now, I've said also, we on the left shouldn't shy away from these conversations, but the fact that no matter what we say, they go, you guys won't even define woman. Have you listened to the many conversations I've had about this, including, for example, on the Trigonometry show? Anyway, I don't know that Cleve necessarily is seriously thinking about this issue. All right, one more from the sort of whacked out stuff before we get into more, and that is a guy who has himself holding a fish in his profile picture saying, you're a idiot, with multiple mistakes here. It's the wrong your, Y-O-U-R. It should say an idiot, and also idiot is wrongly and randomly capitalized in the middle of a sentence. So listen, I know we have an educational problem here in this country. I know we have a lot of problems here in this country, but can we stop with the morons calling other people idiots? And I'm so sorry to use that term pejoratively, but this guy is the last person. 1, 2, 3, I guess 4 errors in a 3-word sentence, and I guess 5 if you include missing punctuation, although I guess I won't hold him to it. Listen, maybe just think about what you can do to improve your own life rather than trying to bother me. All right, now more substantively, let's get into a post from Condescending Bench on the subreddit. If Trump loses again, will he be more successful or less successful in his attempts to claim fraud and stir up hostility and or violence? I get that his followers will believe and do whatever he says no matter what, but I'm curious, what will it look like this time around? A lot has happened in the last 4 years, including some loss of support from people due to January 6th and his fraud claims, as well as Trump being overwhelmed by legal troubles. Since this is his last chance at the presidency, he has nothing left to lose. Plus, he and his sycophants have the benefit of hindsight. Curious to hear what you think. I am extraordinarily concerned about Trump attempting to move his followers to violence if he loses in November. I think a lot of his followers are willing to do violence, but here's the one maybe naive caveat. I think that many of his followers, if Trump loses again, will realize it's time to hang it up. They'll know what happened to many of the January 6th rioters. They'll know that none of it worked to get the election stolen by Trump. They'll know this is it for Trump because of his age, and it just seems like this would be it. I think that hopefully would keep some of the Trump supporters from actually going out and doing violence. A lot of people were convinced that Trump wasn't going to show up to the debate last week, like Gracie, who said Trump will never show up. He will back out, saying the debate is rigged or some other lame excuse. Trump showed up, and I know a lot of you in my audience were convinced that he would not, but he did. He lied his way through the entire thing and benefited significantly from Joe Biden having a terrible debate performance. But he did show up. And to be frank, I think because Trump's perception is now that he did so well against Biden, I assume Trump will be excited for a second debate, the details of which are still being worked out. So he was there. He definitely showed up. Carol said, David, I would like to see someone show a Trump speech from 2016 and compare it to one of his speeches from the last few weeks. It really shows he is deteriorating. Margaret responded by saying, look at a major speech from each year starting in 2016 to see the dementia progression. Listen, there is no question that if you look at consecutive Trump speeches over the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years, he wasn't doing speeches 20 years ago, but TV appearances, he has deteriorated significantly. We have also now seen that Joe Biden, outside of the 10 to 4 working hours that the White House through Axios says are his best hours, has also experienced some deterioration. What Trump is experiencing and what Biden is experiencing are certainly different things, but there is no doubt that if you look at speeches of Trump's over time, it is a different Trump. It is a different Trump. Jimmy wrote in and says about stupidity in the current media, how about a show on how an idiot inbred is actually a political commentator? I think Jimmy means me. And the lowering of standards all across the board of the Soetora administration and his sidekick, criminal liar, pedophile schmo, Biden, how much did you have to blow producer to get your show? Let me say this once and only once. I own the show. No one gives me the show, and there's no one person who can fire me. Now, everybody could stop listening. Everybody could stop watching and make it so I'm a guy in a room by myself, which is horrible, obviously, as you can imagine. But there is no person out there who gives me the show. And it's a very tired and lame narrative. Chris Howard writes, Trump is dominating the swing states that matter. I don't know what the purpose is of reporting national polls with Biden winning, since our electoral college is all that matters, and Trump has Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, Arizona, and Pennsylvania locked in. Trump will win in November. Chris, you're extraordinarily confident, and confident people have been wrong many, many, many times before. Write in info@davidpakman.com. Get the free, completely free Project 2025 white paper at davidpakman.com/Project 2025. And remember that you can get all of my children's books, including most recently, Think Like a Voter, a perfect book for an election year, at davidpakman.com/book. I will see you on the bonus show. I hope that you have a great 4th of July holiday, if you are doing anything for it, and we will be back oh so soon